This is Olivier Hickman from Wine Uncovered. In this video, we will look at how a winery works to drastically reduce the amount of sulphite additions in their wines. At its fundamental core, the fermentation of grapes into alcohol is a natural, straightforward process. But plenty can go wrong during the harvest, the fermentation, the aging, and the transportation of that wine before it is ultimately poured into your glass. The most common problems are unwanted bacteria and overexposure to air, both of which can spoil the wine. Now, a key preservative that has been used for centuries to help counter bacterial spoilage and oxidation is sulphur, or sulphite as it is more commonly known. You can get away with less sulphur additions in red wine because they contain tannins, which are natural antioxidants. White and rosé wines, however, contain less tannins because they're not fermented with the skins. So everything else being equal, more sulphur is added to white and rosé wine compared to red, as they are more sensitive to oxidation. The problem with too much sulphur addition in the wine is that it can dull the flavour of the wine. More seriously, some people are allergic to excess sulphur levels. Even in the absence of allergy, high sulphur levels can give people headaches. This is generally a problem I have with the third bottle of the evening. It's just too much sulphur. Now, it is generally accepted in the trade that the wine needs a minimum level of sulphur in the wine to protect it from exposure to heat during transport. The key to quality winemaking is to use as little sulphur as possible by reducing unwanted bacteria and exposure to air. Healthy grapes and clean winemaking are essential for eliminating unwanted bacteria, and a careful handling of the grapes will eliminate any unwanted oxidation of the grape juice before the fermentation has a chance to begin in the winery. So let's have a look at an example of a winery that demonstrates how a rigorous selection of grapes in the vineyard and in the cellar, together with careful harvesting and gravity-fed clean winemaking, allows it to significantly reduce the sulphur additions that combat bacteria and oxidation.
Above the medieval village of Creste, located between 350 and 500 metres in the Dentelle de Montmirail hills, are the vineyards of Chêne Bleu. It is the last week of September 2020 and Chêne Bleu has only just got started on its harvest, whereas most of the vineyards at lower altitudes have already finished harvesting. This is because the higher altitude gives cooler conditions, so the grapes take longer to ripen. In addition, cooler ripening conditions produce wines with a little bit more acidity, ideal for their award-winning rosé, for which the pickers are currently harvesting Syrah grapes. Quality wine comes from quality grapes, and the pickers discard anything that does not look right. The grapes are harvested into small crates that are stacked on the back of a tractor to ensure that no juice is crushed from the grapes and potentially oxidised before they get to the winery. Chêne Bleu's winery is built into a slope, with grapes arriving at the top level. The grapes undergo a further stage of selection on a conveyor belt to eliminate any leaves and any grapes deemed to be of insufficient quality. Arriving at the top level of the winery, the grapes are dropped into the vats, eliminating the need to pump juice and with it any potential oxidation. These red grapes are being used for rosé, so the grapes are dropped into a chute that runs through a vat and then into a wine press 2 levels below. A short 2 to 3 hour contact of the pressed juice with the red skins inside the press gives a rosé coloured juice. Dry ice, which is frozen carbon dioxide, is added to the tray under the wine press so that the pressed rosé grape juice drains into a cold inner atmosphere, which again reduces any potential oxidation. The rosé pressed juice is then transferred into the vats, where they undergo a cold clarification for 2 to 3 days to precipitate out sediment that might give off flavours to the rosé wine. After this clarification, the clear juice will commence fermentation, but at a low temperature in order to preserve to the maximum the fruit flavours in the rosé wine.